Live from Metro Detroit and the TV2 Eyewitness News Center, Murray Feldman for Woody Willis and Doyle. Nancy McCauley for Emmett Capper Weather. Bob Hillman for Charlie Neal Sports, and the award-winning TV2 Eyewitness News team.
Good evening. The latest in a series of storms to hit the metropolitan Detroit area this week has now claimed its first victim. A teenage boy was swept away by the flooded Rouge River this afternoon. Wayne County Sheriff's deputies have not released his identity. As a matter of fact, they still haven't been able to recover his body. The tragedy occurred in Wayne near Vinoy Road. The teenager and a companion had reportedly taken a raft into the swollen river. The river proved too much for them. The other boy was rescued by a passerby. Wayne County Sheriff's deputies reported a similar incident also on the Rouge at Hines Drive in Merriman near the Hawthorne Valley Golf Course. Another young boy whose canoe capsized in the river there was rescued clinging to a tree just before 4 o'clock this afternoon. Let that be a lesson to parents. Please keep your youngsters away from the rivers until the spring flooding has subsided. Murray?
Last night's heavy rain is still being felt in some parts of Metro Detroit. The rain caused problems that did not go away overnight for some people. TV2's Ron TRUMBLA has a special report now on the areas that have been dealt the worst.
April in Michigan has been a moody month for Mother Nature. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen a blizzard, we've seen an ice storm, we've seen hurricane winds, we've seen torrential rains, and now floodwaters. Oh, she's thrown in a couple of days of sunshine and 60s as well, but for the most part, she has been downright ill-tempered. The latest blow came last night when almost 1.5 inches of rain fell in and around Detroit, flooding freeways and viaducts in the city, roads and lowlands outside of it. Today, the results were everywhere, but most notable along Hines Drive from Detroit out through Plymouth Township. Golf courses and low-lying parks and fields were underwater, as were cars and trucks caught and abandoned in the wake of flash flooding. Many homes near swollen rivers and lakes were threatened, but few evacuations proved necessary. We did run across a dangerous situation in the LakePointe Village subdivision in Plymouth Township, where a drainage ditch, already undermined from construction, gave way under the pressure of fast water, taking a good part of 2 backyards with it. The land, eroded below, simply fell away from above.
We think maybe we had the first earthquake at Plymouth Township.
That was your first thought?
That's our first thought.
Did you say the water was high here to begin with? What do you figure happened?
Well, I think it's a result of some improper dredging of this existing drainage ditch. Mm-hmm. The water probably washed the foundation out from under the pipes, and I think the whole system just collapsed. If they don't immediately get on this project and fix it, then additional cave-ins could happen. Some of these trees could go down, and
somebody could get hurt.
Somebody could get hurt very easily, very easily.
In nearby Northville Township, the floodwaters poured out of Waterford Lake, adding to the swell along the Rouge River Basin. In the same area, there is a sewer line, overburdened in the best of times, a health hazard at a time like this. We were told the manhole covers along the line were surely lifted, leaving the sewerage free to flow over the parklands. Northville officials say it just points up the need once again for that proposed super sewer in western Wayne and Oakland counties.
Raw sewage is coming from the city of Northville, the city of Novi, and from as far north as Wall Lake. Right now is actually going through this river basin. And this is why we are striving to encourage the federal government to get this super sewer constructed.
From the west side, our cameras moved downriver to Taylor, where the most immediate problem was not water so much as oil. Here, homes, cars, streets, and yards were covered with an oily film apparently brought in through a drainage ditch. It is believed that one of the many refineries in the area may have dumped the oil into the ditch. The problem here is twofold: to clean up the mess and find out who is responsible for it. I talked to Taylor Mayor Donald Zub and Department of Public Works Superintendent George McGuckin via radio.
Ron, we're working from Beach Daily on across to Telegraph Road. We've got a bad situation with oil mixed into the county drain, and it carries all the way across town, and right now we're trying to find out who the polluter is.
Tell them we got the DNR here also. You have working out there, and what are you trying to do with it right now?
We've got about 20 or 25 people working throughout the city right now, and we've got the DNR here with us to help us, and they're taking samples, and we're backtracking all the manholes all the way back down.
If and when the culprit is found, residents throughout the area would like to have some questions answered. Questions like, why did it happen? And who is going to pay for the damage?
My whole yard was underwater. My complete yard was underwater. I've got a crawl space. I do not have a basement. My furnace pipes are in my crawl space under my house. They are submerged in the fuel, the oil, the whatever, and water.
The floodwaters have already begun to recede. The full extent of the damage should be known in the next few days. Meanwhile, people in southeastern Michigan gaze at the sky and wonder, Mother Nature, what next? I'm Ron TRUMBLA, TV2 Eyewitness News, Wayne County.
And if that's not enough, telephone and electric crews are still trying to restore service to homes that were affected during last week's ice storm. Right now, we're told 10,000 homes are still without power in Metro Detroit. About 4,000 have no telephone service. Ann?
What a week this has been. Help is available for people who feel they've been cheated at the pump. We'll have details plus an update on parking at the airport right after this.
It's already Easter Sunday at Rome. Pope John Paul II celebrated Mass for some 20,000 people, including many cardinals and bishops at the Vatican today. And on the eve of Easter, the Pope led hundreds in a candlelight procession, ending in a midnight Mass. And at midnight, Rome's 500 churches rang their bells, which had been silent since Good Friday. Well, even though it is Easter weekend and one of our nation's largest airlines, United, has canceled all of its flights because of a strike, airport officials around the country still report everything is going smoothly. Parking lots are near capacity, though, at Detroit's Metro Airport, but the people at the airport say everything is still moving along just fine. Of course, that could change tomorrow as holiday travelers once again begin to come and go.
Oh, yes. 2 months ago, the Department of Energy in Washington set up a telephone hotline, and they encouraged motorists to use it when they felt they were being gouged at the gas pump. The response has been phenomenal. 4,500 complaints have been called in so far, and they're still coming in at the rate of 300 per day. TV2's Washington correspondent Norm Waggy reports on the Energy Hotline.
Since 1973, the price of gasoline has been regulated. Any increases in price are supposed to reflect only a dollar-for-dollar passing along of expenses to the gas station operator. There are about 180,000 gas stations in the country. Some try to comply with the law. Some are not all that aware of it. Some try to defy it. But the point is, there is a law on the books, and the Department of Energy welcomes your assistance in enforcing it. You assist by calling the toll-free hotline number, 800-424-9246, to report suspected violations. Most of us think gasoline prices are high, but how do we know if we're being gouged? Bart Eisenberg supervises the hotline for the Energy Department, and he suggests what to look for.
One easy way is to look for the maximum allowable price that's being posted at the station. All stations are required to post in a prominent place on the pump their maximum legal allowable price. If the price being charged to you is more than the maximum allowable price, you should report that to us. But even if the maximum allowable price is equal to or less or greater than what is actually being charged, if you think the price is high, you should still report it to us, because it is possible that some station owners may be posting the price improperly.
Well, I think all of us think the price of gasoline is high. Being high is one thing. Gouging me is something else.
Well, we have to expect cost increases. The cost to the station owner is going up. What we're concerned is that the station owner only increase his selling price to the degree it's allowed by law. Basically, that's dollar for his cost increases plus some other increases he can put on. But we can determine this fairly quickly, whether he's in compliance or not, by visiting the station.
Some dealers protest the law is too confusing, or that they don't understand it, or that the government shouldn't have the right to tell them what to charge for a gallon of gasoline. Eisenberg emphasizes the law is the law. Dealers can no more ignore it than they can the regulations of the Internal Revenue Service. Norm Waggy, TV2 Eyewitness News, Washington.
and at least you know where you can complain about it now. About 600 protesters gathered in the rain outside Consolidated Edison's Indian Point nuclear power plant in Buchanan, New York today. They were there to call for a shutdown of the plant. Organizers of the protest had expected about 2,000 demonstrators. They blamed the poor turnout on the rain. The 600 who did brave the weather carried signs and sang anti-nuclear power songs. There were plenty of police on hand, but no arrests. A Con Edison vice president told the demonstrators that the two Indian Point plants save residents in the New York City area $300 million a year in energy costs. Murray?
Well, funeral services were held today in Florida for the man who built an 8-table oyster bar into Michigan's most well-known seafood restaurant. Joe Muir was laid to rest near his Florida retirement home. He died on Thursday after a long illness at the age of 70. The Muir Seafood Restaurant was started by Joe's father, actually. It opened up one day before the stock market crashed in 1929. But it was Joe Muir who quit his job at a local bank and pitched in to help. And over the next 40 years, his brother and 2 sons joined in to make that family business what it is today. We'll be back with more news for you in just a moment.